And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to hashtag Tarot Nerds. And welcome,
So
Alex. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad to be here. Finally, we've been working on
Nice.
this one for a minute.
Cool. Yeah, we were just talking, backstage about how this is actually the first time that Alex and I have actually had a conversation together because we've known each other for months and months, and we talk like I would say just about every day. Or at least every other day we talk about tarot and decks and stuff, but we never actually talked face to face. So this is really cool. And so
Right,
I thank you, my friend, for coming on. And I
man. I
thank
thank you for having me.
cool. And I'm glad everybody was able to make it at this weird hour. But let me just say hello to everybody in the chat. So we have Melissa Zupan was the first one in. Hi, Melissa. Justin Michael's here. Hello, Justin Michael. Kristen Louise. Let's see who else we got. Regina Tarot. Hello. My sister Neem Essence 818.
Going on, name.
Jamie Kelly's here. Hello, Jamie. And let me see who else we got here. Let's see. Oh, Tara's Dash. Hello, Gerald. Glad you could make it.
Going on, Daryl.
I said hello to Regina. And I think that's everyone. So welcome, everyone. So this is an interesting thing because we plan to do. Oh, Moon Baby just walked in. Hey, Brant.
Good, Brent.
We planned this a long time ago. I mean, probably a few months, and we were supposed to do it. But see, Alex works a lot, and we're on different time. We're in different time zones, so it's really hard to pick a day. He's got like one day off. So we finally decided Tuesday evening, which is kind of shitty for people in the UK because most of them will be sleeping, but they can all watch tomorrow. So, but it was pretty tough to find a time where we were both free.
I think our first conversation about it actually was like in December. I think I just started recording YouTube videos and was like, dude, I don't even know if I want to put one out. And you were like, just do it. Just do it. So I was like, and I did it.
It's funny.
And I think you told me, I think you said once I get to 150 subs that you'll invite me on for a live chat.
I didn't say that. Did I say
that?
You did.
I think you did. Like as an encouragement to try to get me to put out the YouTube videos because I was like, I don't know. And he was like, bro, you were like, bro, you'll get there quick. Trust me.
You sure you don't got me confused with somebody else? That doesn't sound like something I would say, but.
Nah, you're part of the reason I even posted my first video.
Maybe. It goes to show you I don't remember half the things I say, so I don't discriminate based on subscribers, though. You know what I mean? But I'm glad you did it. I really am glad that you actually did it. And you came a long way, man. You're very comfortable with your lives. You have like a nice following of people who are following your decks along and everything because you have like a really eclectic collection. So about this tag. So we talked back in December, and we made a whole bunch of plans. And so the first time we started to do it, we had technical problems, and now here we are finally.
Yeah,
we're here. So
my internet went out that day. The breaker, like on the pole, the generator breaker thing blew, and it sent the internet through the roof and all kind. Yeah. We're here now, though.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting tag, and I want to kind of get to it because we there are 14 prompts, but really it's like 16 because a couple of the questions have 2 decks in them. But before that, I just wanted to say, because this is your first time on the channel. So how long have you been into tarot? How long have you been reading tarot?
I've actually been reading and like buying decks since April of last year. So just under a year now.
Okay.
But I've been studying like esoteric stuff for years, right? I've been reading translations of Life is Levi and that were translated by Arthur Edward Waite, right? Like translated by A.E. Waite. So I've known of the systems for a while. I've had a couple of decks in the back of my mind for at least 5 years that I was looking at getting eventually that I knew I would have. But as far as like buying and reading physically, just under a year.
Cool. And what kind of tarot reader would you say you are? Is it like a spirituality thing, or is it like it's kind of a tough question to answer, even for me? And It's like,
I think I use tarot more than anything as a esoteric study guide, so to
okay,
speak. So like in any random Thoth or RWS deck, when you pick it up, each card has a number of esoteric symbols in it, right? And it's like a flashcard, like flashcards for different esoteric studies, because we've got decks that are good with astrology and decks that are good with, like all out esoteric study, like the Holy Light.
yeah,
So I think that that's where it started, and then now it's become part of my actual spiritual growth. Like it's helping me to do inner child work that I never would have done before, and just other shadow work in general that I never would have done before. And it's been kind of instrumental in my growth now that I have it.
cool. Yeah, same thing happened to me basically. You start off with like all these different ideas and you're not really sure. My understanding of what tarot was when I first began is something totally different than when I look at now.
Yeah.
It's like, but that initial kind of attraction is still there, like the reason for being attracted to tarot. But once you learn about things and you practice and it really becomes a part of your life, you start to look at things differently, and you get to know more, like anything, right?
Right.
So,
And like the old romanticized image is still something I'm going to end up having one day, because I still plan on being a vagabond living in his bus reading tarot cards. So
that
it'll
sounds like
end up
fun.
it'll end up going both ways, because my goal is bus life. I want to buy a bus, build my house into it, and live in it for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
That way I can take it wherever I want.
I
So I'm
hear
gonna
you.
pop up on you one day.
You got that. You're welcome anytime, man. There's a saying, Kurt Vonnegut's one of my favorite authors. He wrote Slaughterhouse 5 and Timequake and a whole bunch of cool books, some of my favorite books. But he always says in his books, uh, we were put here on Earth to fart around, and don't let anybody else tell you different. And it's really true. I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do is just like, I mean, just think about like all the hours you spend reading esoteric stuff. If you put that towards like learning, like getting your CPA or something, you could be like, like,
Well, I'd
you
be
could
a
be,
doctor.
right.
I
Exactly.
would legit be a doctor. All the research I've done and all the things I've done research about, I could be a doctor right now,
But
legit.
you wouldn't be having fun though. And that's
Uh-uh.
what it's all about basically.
It's about the experience, man. I want to experience all of it in its
Cool.
full entirety, ups, downs, all of it. That's what I'm here for.
Hell yeah. Definitely. So I guess we should get to the tag because we have a lot of prompts here. So this is a pretty kind of what we did was we came up, both of us, we collaborated and we came up with a bunch of questions about different decks. And so this is what we came up with. We just put a whole, but we figured because we're both tarot nerds, we would try and make it like something relatable to that term. Um, so you want to start with the first one, Alex?
Sure,
Okay,
sure, man.
I'll read it off. So the first one is favorite historic deck. Initially, it was favorite Marseille deck, but I toned it down in case anybody else wants to participate and you're not a Marseille fan. You could do favorite historic deck.
So, because the way we had originally laid it out, this is, of course, a historic Marseille deck for me. And that's going to be the TSR Dodali. I love Sullivan Histon's work. I'm not going to lie. Thank you for introducing me, because this deck is wow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, bro, I really like this.
yeah.
It's probably my favorite Dodal deck, and I've got a couple of really cool Dodal decks. So
The printing is so good on that. Like the images are so clear.
and the card stock and
Oh
the
yeah.
line work and the
Yeah. Yeah, I really love Dodal. So I think my response is going to be a little bit boring. It's Nicholas Convert. I think I was thinking, I have a lot of favorite Tarot de Marseilles. It's really hard to pick one. And this is only for like right now. And the one I thought of was the specific version is the really blue one. It's in the museum, but it's a Convert Camoin. This version is by I can never remember his name. It's Yves Renaud, but I forget who he collaborated.
I
Poinsett.
know the one you're talking about. I was
Poinsett.
looking at that deck.
I can never remember the Poinsett. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the next Convert deck that I want to get.
Yes. This isn't the exact deck. This is just the closest that I have. But the one I don't have a current. I've printed it myself. I don't think I have any around, but because I've given them all away. I got to print more. But it's very, very blue. So let me show you what I mean. And this kind of inspired the, to some extent, the Grimaud 1930. So let me just find. So it's very, very blue. I don't think this deck really captures it 100%, but you can see there's just a lot of blues in it and stuff. And I just really, really like this one.
And then the Grimaud 1930, that one's on my list of, like, I would actually like to find the 1930. I know that happens. Good luck. Sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's like the last time I saw it sell was like $700 was the last time on eBay.
So that's gonna go up on the list with like the DeLawrence round yellow.
Yes. No, that's like, you know, one of my. I mean, that's like I think Mendy says it's her unicorn deck. Mine too. Like it's very rare. But I do know that there are certain individuals who have redone that deck, and so we may actually see it in the future.
Nice.
Like a you know, I do a facsimile, but you know, there's someone who totally redid the line work, an old friend of mine who may release it soon. So
nice.
So let's see. So the next prompt is modern Marseille, or a modern rendition of a historic deck.
Which one you got, man?
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay. This is easy. The new Choice Tower to Marseille. It's my very favorite modern Marseille. You know, it's a Marseille style. It's by Rosario Salerno. He's an Italian artist, lives in Berlin. They only printed 500 of these initially, and it's one of them decks that like became more popular after it was printed. It's like legendary now. But it comes in that really nice box, and it's gold gilded. The card stock is very, very lovely, as everybody talks about. It has this kind of nice swishing sound, and they just feel incredible. But the pips are really, really beautiful. I think I might have to do something about this light because it's too bright.
Wasn't that originally a Kickstarter?
Yeah. No, I think it was on the other one, not Kickstarter. What's the other one? Indiegogo, I think.
Oh,
I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't back it.
Crowdfunded one, right?
Yes, it was. And actually, I didn't get this until it was almost out. I think I don't know what number I got, but it was almost gone by the time I got it. I think like a month later, and they just disappeared. But here, let me show you some of the majors. It's a really beautiful color. I'm sorry about the light. I might have to move that when you're up.
Yeah, man, the colors in that one are funky, like the 80s.
Yeah, it's really like glamour rock kind of colors.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of. Definitely 1980s like glamour kind of thing. It's really, really a cool deck, and I think he's trying to reprint this. So I have heard. I don't know if it's going to be on this kind of quality, but I know he has that Rider-Waite-Smith coming out, the RWS clone, and so you might see it down the road, hopefully.
Oh yeah. And then my favorite modern Marseille is actually after a second purge, which I'll tell you guys about on Thursday, is now the one of only two modern Marseilles that I have, and that's the Triomphe de la Luna. Love this deck. Patrick's work is just dope. There we go. I like this one particularly more than like the paradoxical ones. I kind of like really thought about the paradoxical blue for a minute. I actually have all 4 of the extra cards that he did for the deck.
Yeah.
I got lucky when I reached out to him and I asked for him, and he just sent them to me. So I've got all 4 of the alternate
that's
cards.
really cool.
Whatever.
What was that last one? The one that you just put down? I don't have this deck.
The World.
Oh, the World. I love that. Well.
Okay, so here, watch.
I actually like this better than the Deviant Moon, and I have 2 copies of the Deviant Moon. I don't have this.
Me too. I don't have the Deviant Moon at all. So here, watch. We'll go through some of the majors again. Dropped a couple, but
yeah, they look cool.
You got the Chariot.
I don't know. I'm going to kick it around. I'm not going to get it anytime soon, but I do kind of like it in a way. I think it would be a fun deck to read with.
I mean, it's cool where like modern-Marseille is concerned, and then like he had the alternate devil.
Oh well. Yeah, I like when decks come with like alternate cards.
And then you got the Tower, and then the Lightning card right here is the alt.
Melissa said she secretly wants a copy of the Triumphi della Luna. That's me.
And then the star card that came with it is this one, right? So it's like that traditional Marseille star card.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Vivial, right? Was it?
Right. Right. And then the alternate is the one that fits like the Marseille RWS star.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Mendy would know. The Vivial, is it the Hermit that has the astrologer, or is it the...
I think it's the star card.
It is the star card. I mean, that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
That's a deck I'm not very familiar with, like, historically. The Vivial. It's one that I need to, like, work with.
And then here's, like, the normal Judgment, and then this was the alt.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of like it. I mean... You know,
I mean,
it's
as
different.
far as like art style is concerned, I actually like Patrick's art. I just didn't like any of the Deviant decks, like the Deviant Moon stuff. And I even had bought the Abandoned Oracle and ended up selling that one to Sandra, as a matter of fact.
Nice. I was just thinking you can go in one of them Tarot de Marseille groups and like, you know, post pictures of it and say, like, ask for a reading. They'll kick you out of the group for like showing that kind of deck, because like they're so like strict about what type. Some of those groups are insane, really.
Right.
Like, you know, I could tell you some stories, but I
that's why I stick to the den and the cave, bro. That's where you find me, is the den and the cave. I don't be nowhere else.
Like, you know, you put a picture up of like the Marshmallow Marseille, you'll get canned.
Blocked.
Yeah, it's insane. But oh boy. Okay, so let's see. So we got the favorite RWS. So this is actually a 2-part question. Favorite RWS and favorite RWS clone.
Well, my favorite RWS, I have a really hard time deciding between the study deck and the 1909 art restoration deck. These two are like my baseline right now. And I think any direct scan of an actual PAM A or PAM B or PAM C will be like my baseline, right? Pretty much forever. Because that'll be like the comparative point, right?
That's the study deck and the restoration, right?
So this one is the study deck. When I bought this from Make Playing Cards, I thought I had bought the white tin to go with it, but I accidentally bought the 40 white blank cards instead.
Oh well.
So I had to get a bag to go with it. So that's the bag I keep it in. So this is
I like bags anyway. Nice, yeah.
And
I've
recently reordered it because I just did a couple comparison walkthroughs with it. I compared this one against the AGM study deck, which when I watched that one back, I realized how much the AGM orange box deck looks like the Simpsons color-wise and the faces on the people. So that's why I say this is like the standard for me, right?
It's basically a facsimile of the PAM A. I mean, is what it is.
Yeah, it's a direct facsimile with minimal digital reproduction or retouching on the cards. Same thing with the 1909.
Yeah.
Um,
And they say that was Kenji's deck, right? The famous tarot historian Kenji.
Yeah, for the study deck, it was Kenji Itsumasu, I think is his full name. It was his PAM A that it's a scan of.
Yeah.
And then the 1909, the dude C in London, I think is what he goes by. He basically did a museum quality retouch of the 1909 study deck, because there's only 5 of these ones still physically in existence or whatever.
Yeah.
So they allowed him to retouch one, take scans of it, and then he posted this one. It's available on Drive-Through Cards.
She's talking about the other deck, but
yeah.
I just wanted to put that. Mendy said that the Patrick Valenza deck was based on the Viville lineage. So
yeah, that would make sense for that deck for sure. So those are like my favorite RWS deck. Like that's my baseline. Hopefully we see a PAM B scan deck appear sometime in the near future. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see.
It's funny that you say that, because that's actually so this is like, I'm very much like the wind, I can change next week. Everybody knows that my favorite is the Centennial, like my specific deck, because it was the first RWS that I've gotten since aside from the deck that I got when I was 12 years old. But this is the one I've been using a lot lately. It's the Pamela Coleman Smith. Let me can this light here. This is just too much.
You got the wheat sheaf?
Oh, all right. Okay. Can you see that a little better?
Sheaf.
The who? Yeah. This isn't the, like, what do they call it? The Dirty Pam or whatever came in the original. This is just a Pam B, and so Melissa Zupan, basically.
I know the one you're talking about. I got it right here.
Yeah. Now, this is just something that I've been using a lot because I just like the greens. I just really like the colors of it. And, it's just something I'm like, gravitating towards lately.
So
it's a
something I noticed now that you pull that deck out, because that's the deck that made me notice this. Everybody knows this deck, right? The original Rider-Waite.
Yes.
This one, the line work is purported to be based on the 1909, the Roses and Lilies Tudor deck, right?
Really?
However, the coloring in this deck is much closer to the Pam B, which you're holding right now in your hand. The coloring in this is much closer to that.
Yeah.
Something
I've seen those green decks before, and like I guess I've read a lot of bad reviews about that specific deck. Although Chris Kelly has one, he loves it, and he says it's actually different than I don't know if it's an earlier printing or what, but it's a bit different. Melissa Zupan says she believes the original rider is based off of the Pam C. Okay,
that would make.
Yeah, so I just learned something kind of annoying tonight too about the 1909 restoration deck, not the restoration deck, the one by Los Garabeo. It's the exact same as this deck, but it's just packaged differently. It's literally the exact same, which is bizarre to me. I mean, like, I guess it's just another way to sell the deck. It's like a marketing thing.
So. I think that's all really it is. Because they did it not just with that one, but remember the first edition of the wheat sheath. Melissa's in the room, so she can correct me if I'm wrong. But the first edition of the wheat sheath with the multilingual was then turned around, and I believe it was re-released by U.S. Games in a brown box, which then eventually became this one, Pamela Coleman Smith's RWS Tarot deck.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that one. Mandy was just talking about that the other day. She loves it. And for some reason, when I try to use that deck or even look at it, it bothers me. The colors, I don't know if it's like an OCD thing. I'm just like, you remember like when the teacher would write in this chalkboard and it would squeak, like and give you that kind of feeling. Like that's what it does to me. It's weird. It just bothers me.
I got a deck coming up that's got coloring that might bother you like that. because it's all like off
Yeah.
slightly, so you can see that it's off, and it almost looks like if you had 3D glasses, the pictures would pop out at you.
Interesting. So now we have clones. So what's your favorite Rider-Waite-Smith clone? I'm going to cheat and show two, but they're sort of the same. So
Now, as far as clones are concerned, the way that I break down clone versus RWS based decks,
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I mean.
really the only clone that I currently have is the Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith, but I had selected instead an RWS based deck, which is the Banksy Tarot. The Banksy Tarot second edition is the one that I have here. I've got both of them, but the first edition I keep on my altar over there.
Yeah.
This is the one that came with the red foil on the box. I don't know if you can see that.
Which is this now? Say it again.
The Tarot Banksy second edition.
Okay, Banksy.
The creator of this deck is the lady that I just had on my channel not that long ago on my live.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Shiloh.
Yeah, I have to.
Shiloh is the one that created the deck.
That's in my watch later thing, and I've been meaning to watch that. I have to.
And then she put the same like red foil on the back of the cards. It's got like this matte. It's like this perfect slidey matte cardstock to it. Yeah. The gilding does
look nice.
Man. So the first the first go round, she had like a black background with just a white tag going in either direction, so it was reversible, just his Banksy tag.
Yeah.
And then like a silver gilding on it, and it didn't really make it such a bright deck, but now that it's got the red gilding on there mixed with the like the way that all of his images, that's my favorite strength card ever, by the way.
Well, yeah, that is kind of cool. Yeah, I've heard of that. I think I've seen that on your channel before. I'm pretty sure I've seen this deck on your channel.
That's my favorite magician card too, if you catch the context of it.
I don't get it. You have to explain it to me.
Okay, so like Banksy does graffiti that's like revolutionary or based on society's ills, right?
Okay.
So here, as the magician, you have a hooded figure standing under a sign that says tourist information, basically somebody that's there to swindle people that don't know what's going on.
I see. So it's a trickster.
Make magic, right? A trickster, essentially.
Nice. Pretty interesting.
And Banksy's artwork is one of the, like, that's what makes this deck so interesting, is because you can take the normal RWS meaning for every card.
Somebody's excited. Kathy Kerr.
For every card, you can just read it according to any normal RWS. Grab an RWS book off the shelf. You got the meanings, right? Because she designed it to be that way. However, if you know Banksy's artwork and you are familiar with how he does his thing, it opens up cards for another world of interpretation.
I have all these lights going off as you're talking. Now I remember he's a famous graffiti artist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the UK.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's probably wanted in most of the European countries, either Eastern or Western.
Melissa said, "I wish I knew more about Banksy." He's
a really elusive character.
Yeah,
I've been trying to find like documentaries on him for years, and I've still never seen his face. I don't think anybody has. So
I've been hearing about him for years. I know that. Like I do. I'm getting like serious deja vu because I just remember hearing that. Like even maybe as far back as high school. He's probably older, right? He's got to be a bit older than me, right? You would think.
Oh yeah, he's been around for a number of years, dude. I think he's got to be older than us, because I'm 35. And I've been hearing about him since I was young. So he's got to be older than us. Has to be. Yeah. And he's still out there doing it.
Crazy. Couldn't Banksy be a woman? That's very possible, Gerald. Don't know.
Possibly. Because we've never seen their face, right? So we wouldn't know for real.
Yeah, and so that's very true. I don't know anything. So, but my favorite clone is going to be no surprise to people, is the Carol Hertzer decks. So I just,
And
these are kind of clones, but I don't know. It's like, that's a really weird term because everybody has their own meaning for clone, right? Some people think it like, some people refer to like actual like Pixies line work but different color renditions as clones. Some people refer to just like decks that slightly look like the Universal Tarot by Los Garabeo, like that type of thing. I don't know. It's an elusive term for me, but this is my favorite. This is what I think of as a clone. So
I would consider them both to be clones. The way
yeah,
that I look at a clone, at least. So for me, an RWS deck is any deck with Pixie's artwork with her signature on it.
yeah, true.
It's got her artwork with her signature. I don't care about the titles. I worry about her artwork. If it's her
Exactly.
artwork, it's an RWS deck.
True.
That's why decks like the Radiant, Rider Waite, where it's pretty much spot on, right? But it's not her artwork. Her signature is on none of the cards. Clone.
I see.
It's as close as you can get to the real thing without being the real thing. So like Carol Hertzer's decks, pretty close to the real thing. All the poses and symbolism, they're all there.
Yeah.
It's just not Pixie's artwork.
This is the Starlight version. It's smaller, and this is actually her medium size. I prefer this size from her. It's very glossy, kind of homemade deck, and Carol was the first homemade deck that I ever bought. Like, come to think of it, it's really the only
homemade decks. That's a really good quality of deck for like a homemade.
Oh, they hold up. They're just glossy, but I actually like them. And so this is the original stock, and it's very, very shuffleable. Like, and they're durable. Like, you can throw this, you can run this over with your car; it'll be fine.
I did not think we were going to have that much flexibility with those cards. I thought they honestly, I thought they were going to be much thicker.
No, they're really, really good. And this is the Starlight. It's the bluer version. It's very like melancholic and blue. If I'm feeling down, or if I'm feeling in a very blue mood, a lot of times in the winter, like I just gravitate towards this deck.
I was just going to say it looks very wintry.
It is, and that's called Starlight. This is the illuminated original, right? So I ordered I had the illuminated 2, which is with black borders. I gifted that to a friend because I got this, but I wasn't really like, I didn't like the black borders as much as I thought. But I was talking to Carol a bit, and so she emails me one day, and she's like, I had a breakthrough, because we were chatting back and forth a lot, and she's really, I talk to her once in a while, just like through email, and she says, I had a breakthrough. I just want to let you know, I figured out how to print the illuminated in borderless. And not only that, but to print them on a thicker cardstock. She was like, but the only thing is I don't know if they're shuffleable, she said. This is a total experiment. She said, you'll be the first deck that I make like this if you want it. So I was like, okay, do it. So I got it January 1st, 2020 is what it's signed, which is my anniversary. And I love it. It's 100. The clarity is better than her original. Like, I hope you can see that, but the clarity of the print is just 1,000 times better, and the cardstock is thicker. The only issue is if you have small hands, it's going to be tough to shuffle, but you can figure out ways to shuffle this. I didn't care. I was like, Carol, from what you're telling me, I just want it. Like, I'd rather have the thicker cardstock, and the clear images. I mean, the clarity of this.
I have about the thicker cardstock is it easy to shuffle overhand at least because it's so glossy? Do they get stuck?
Nope. No, these slide really, really well. They do not stick at all. It doesn't have like that annoying kind of gloss. This is really like, it's laminate. So, but maybe if it's really humid out, it might, but it's just, these are normally, my light is just being annoying today, but these are always tough to show because of the gloss. But
right.
It's really, this is one of my favorite decks, and I probably my top 2. This specific version, I love it, and it's Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork, but there are a lot of sort of unique changes to it, and Melissa, I'm sorry, I was just distracted by Melissa's comment. We all know I can curmudgeon with the best of them, she said. I don't know what she said, but that's funny.
From what I see here, she was talking about doing a video on RWS decks that she can't stand.
Oh, is this one of them? Don't tell me. I can't.
No, I think it was the Radiant that I was just talking about, like for clone example or whatever, that spawned the idea.
I love that fool. That's very
That's
blue.
dope. I like the black sun on it too. I like the way she did that.
She's a brilliant artist. She's really, really good. Her decks are so powerful for me. She has an Oswald Worth that I want to get. And I think that's about it. I haven't seen really her work in a while, but I would totally buy from her again. Like I think the next deck I would get would be the Oswald Worth. I like her Oswald Worth. I also like Crystal Fire is okay. I think Robin from Toadstool Tarot got the Crystal Fire, and I think Masha has it too. I gravitated more towards the original, but I mean they're all very similar in that similar style, and they're all beautiful in their own way. Yeah. But some of them just have like the Crystal Fire seemed like more pink and red. Well, it's fire, so
right.
You know. And I like these two.
Oh, you said Oswald Worth. That made me think too, because you know how I've been kind of trying to find a Oswald Worth deck with the gold on it that I actually like.
Yeah.
I think I might have found one. I can't remember the name of the printer, but it's definitely like a French or some other version.
Oh, you know who has one? A really good one is Marco Benedetti. He has this old Japanese printer from like I think it's the 80s or 90s that prints in gold foil. And you know, they're a bit pricey because the ink, first off, they do still make the ink, but they don't make the printer anymore. So once this printer breaks, it's done.
Right.
And that's on my list too. But he definitely has this cool printer, so check him out. And Cartogram does the hand gold foil, which I would love to even try to do that. You know,
that part.
Yeah, I want to experiment with gold foil because I've never done it before. I just got to find out what kind of glue they use, and like, because I just feel like the flakes would fall off, you know, like especially the wrong kind of glue. Like you really need to know what you're doing with gold foil.
Like the intricacy of like having the covered parts that you don't want foiled with tape and making sure that the foil's down completely. Yeah. It's probably a process.
Man. It is a process. Yeah, what they do is they put the glue on first, and then they just kind of put the flakes over it and then brush them off. It's interesting to watch. You can watch Cartogram videos and see her do it.
Yeah, I bet their videos are cathartic.
Oh, they're insane. I love her videos. It's like ASMR to me.
Melissa says Marco's gold foil decks are gorgeous. However, his DeLawrence reproductions are trash.
Yeah, I guess what? She's 100% right. I like Marco, and I ordered 2 of them from First off, Game Crafter. I'm gonna do a comparison because I just ordered his Nicholas Rollicon, his version, because I know the colors are so much better than Game Crafter's. Like Game Crafter, the card stock is okay and all, but the clarity of print, it loses some quality, at least with Marco's deck. From what I gather, I'll know for sure when I, do the comparison and so forth. But so I don't know if it's Game Crafter DeLawrence or just his in general. But I think what his is probably a facsimile, Melissa. It's probably just like a historic facsimile of what it originally looked like, because I think that's what he does. So I don't know that to be true. I don't know anything about the DeLawrence. I know you do, Melissa, but I started to tell you I had purchased both, and like on impulse from Game Crafter, and then I read some reviews and I went back and canceled it. I almost bought both versions of the DeLawrence. Well, first off, Robin told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, the clarity's terrible." So and so. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to do it. If I did decide to get it, I would get it through him probably to try it anyway, because Game Crafter's not the best from what I've gathered.
That's what I hear. I've never ordered anything from Game Crafter. I have a Tarot Collectibles deck on the way, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Where do they come from, Game Crafter? Or are they? No, Tarot Collectibles is. I think they get them from Make Playing Cards.
or drive through, one of the
Yeah,
two.
one of the two. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll find out when they get here, because I'll be able to see for sure. But the packing slip on it looked like it was maybe coming from drive through, possibly.
Yeah. I did not know that, Melissa.
And that's probably why they look like trash decks now, Melissa,
Yeah.
because he found some trash deck images online to do it.
I think with Marco, he's very much a historic kind of card guy, and he's not an RWS fan, so he probably just kind of did it to just have something. But
right, just to say there's something RWS on the
I
bench.
guess he never advertises them. I didn't even know he had them. Just one day I found them by accident. I was like, oh wow, he has Rider-Waite Smiths, and but yeah, I'm excited to get the Nicholas Rollicon because it comes in a wooden box and it's personalized. I don't know. Did I send you a picture of that? I'll have to send you a picture. The picture he sent me, it's so pretty. And it says to Justin Michael, Rome, the date. Right. And it's in a wooden box. It's so pretty. I can't wait to get it.
I like all those real high class, like handmade wooden boxes that the decks come in when they're like the exclusive editions. Those are really dope. I've only ever had one that I had that came like that, and that was that first edition of the Tower deck from the museum.
Yeah, what's it called? Fin Delatura. I have it sitting right here. That's why I can never remember either.
Not off the top of my head. It's a long one.
I know. All right, so our next prompt. Let's do okay, so we got the RWS clone. Okay, so your favorite Thoth/Thoth-based. So your favorite Thoth and then Thoth-based.
Well, something I've noticed about Thoth is that there's only one Thoth deck, and then everything else that's Thoth is Thoth-based, right?
True.
So my favorite, I just classify them all as Thoth decks. My favorite has kind of always been the Tarot of the Spirit, though. This is the vintage version, so this one I believe was like from 1993.
Yeah.
And it's a mother-daughter combo thing, so like they both went into making it. I think one of them did the cards, the other did the book.
So cool. Yeah, I read her book a long time ago, or at least part of it anyway.
Bro, and it's a thick one, and I just recently found out that there's actually 2 books. There's a second book.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just as thick as the first, if not thicker. So I just recently found out that there's a second book for this deck. Melissa, you Thoth. I actually like Thoth decks. I have a penchant for vintage Thoth decks for some reason.
Yeah. So I know of a couple Thoth. I have a friend of mine who redid the Thoth that is amazing, but he'll never release it, I don't think. But he redid it for his own personal use, and it's really nice. It really makes the artwork look great. But I'm not a Thoth guy. I am in a little bit of a Thoth kind of curiosity phase. I wouldn't even say like a full phase. It's more of a curiosity, dipping and dabbing here and there. And I've been for a while, and I'm headed in that direction because I do want to learn a little more about it. But I asked, my friend James Feeney if, what he would recommend as far as a Thoth deck. The only one I ever had was a mini that came with a book set, and I sold that deck. It was like a special edition little thing, and I sold it on eBay because you could barely. First off, you can't see them in the full size cards, the images. So he told me the green box. So this is my favorite Thoth. I didn't know, even like you said, there's only one. I guess US Games is the only mainstream that prints the Thoth. But I got this one because, based on what James Feeney said, which is that you can see the images better in the big version. And it's absolutely true. Looking at this big deck, it changed my view of Thoth because I was, when you look at them small, it's just too busy. It does something to me. It confuses me and makes me nervous. You know what I mean? But in this big format like this, you can actually see the artwork,
Right.
you know, and all the
And
little
see,
intricacies, and it's just different, you know.
that deck right there is one of the only ones that I kind of have this plan in the back of my head to one day buy and then
Yeah.
trim. I want to
Oh, you
lop
would
it
trim
naked.
it, yeah.
Yep, I want to lop it naked because I have just like a normal size Thoth deck, right, with the
Yep.
borders. And then the images on that one that you have, I think, are like the exact same size as the card for the
Yeah.
normal size.
Yeah.
So when you lop off all the borders, it's just a full image,
Yeah.
but it's the same size as the normal card. So
Yeah,
that's why
you
I
could
want
trim
to
these
do that.
easily. You definitely could. Yeah, the one I saw yesterday, my friend sent me, like, has black borders, and it looks cool. I did 2 for that prompt. So I had that, and then just very briefly, I'll just tell you, New Era Elements is probably my favorite Thoth-based, partially because a really good friend of mine gifted this to me, and I just really like the images. This is a deck I very rarely use. I did use it the night of the Mary Greer class on Magic, just because I wanted as my backup deck, just because I wanted something that could, like, you know, have like powerful images. But just really, it's just kind of a bit of a depressing deck, actually. And it's a modern, very modern looking deck. But like, for instance, here we go. Daughter of Water is very Thoth, though.
I've seen a lot of pictures of this deck and whatnot in like the groups and stuff. I
Yeah.
watched a couple of walkthroughs. I like the images on the cards, but for some reason the deck just never said buy me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking for more of the powerful one. There's one on here. I think it's Three of Swords, which is the guy with the needle in his arm. Probably not going to be able to find it, but it's really, really powerful image.
Amber made it. What's going on, Amber? Glad to see you made it
Hi,
over
Amber.
here.
And I just saw Jason L.
Yep, he's in here.
Oh,
Remember how
and
you told me that I had started developing a couple of fans that were actually like watching my decks and keeping up with me and whatnot? Amber is one of them.
Cool.
She's one of the first people that was doing that. Melissa said she loves trimming Thoth decks. If I ever want a Thoth deck trimmed, I can send it to
Here
her
it
and
is.
she'll do it for me. I
That's the one.
appreciate you, Melissa.
It's a very interesting Three of Swords, you know?
It is, though. Well, I mean, if you look, like, you can't see where I'm pointing, but the tattoo on their arm is the Three of Swords.
Yeah, from the RWS, even.
Yeah.
What does the Three of Swords look like in the regular Thoth? I don't even know off the top of my head. I'm trying to think. Yeah, you don't have to find it. It's all right. Unless you want to.
I got these shelves. Everything is like right here.
I don't even know the Thoth like that well. So
I believe this one is still in order too, because I haven't really played with it too much. Swords. Here's the Three of Swords in the normal Thoth deck.
Yeah, that's Rider-Waite-Smith image, actually. When I guess sort of, you know, sort of the same principle.
Well, okay, something I've noticed about Thoth and RWS is if you dig deep enough into Pixie's artwork, you're going to find all the same Kabbalistic references that you find in here.
True.
All of them. They come from the exact same school of thought. They come from the exact same school of magic.
They split hairs on some things, but I think you're right for the most part. And my very first tarot book was both Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth together, and it fit perfectly. It was like a guide. I actually really like that book. It's a really good book. I can never remember the name of the author though, but it was really, really good.
Really good together, and you know, like you said, there are some minor differences where they kind of variate from each other, card placements and names and stuff like that.
Well, they hated each other too. I mean, I know that you know, whatever the Thoth guy, I can never remember his name either. Crowley hated Waite, you know.
Crowley hated Waite for reasons that had to do with things within the Golden Dawn, I believe.
Okay, probably. Yeah, they probably knew each other. You know what I mean? They were probably exactly.
Well, they would have definitely been alive at the same time. I think that Crowley died in the 50s or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think Waite was older than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
by like 40 years or something, like 30, 40
probably.
years
Yeah.
older than him.
Yeah, he was like the new cocky kid on the block that was
Hmm.
like contradicting weight. I'd like to read more about that actually. So now we're up to the oddball deck. So what did you choose for your oddball deck?
The only deck I've ever found that fits my personality
Oh yeah,
entirely.
that's for sure. That's definitely the perfect deck for you.
The Hexen 2.0. I love this freaking deck.
Actually, I was really looking for that like when I first found out about it. And the worst is Amazon kind of like did a flim flam job on me. They let me like order it for later or whatever. And they
Yeah,
just waiting to get new stock and they just never did. It said that for like a year. Finally, I just gave up on it. Now it
yeah.
says unavailable.
This is a very interesting deck. Um, every card has some crazy conspiracy rabbit hole to dive
Yeah.
down.
It's all right. Conspiracies are fun.
Um, like, and they're all like legitimate. You can take every piece of information on the cards and research it, and you're going to find something that's going to blow your mind. And you're going to be like, wait, they did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
Cool.
that. So the whole thing is like that. I love the backs because it's like, and they're reversible. So it's just this
Yeah.
reversible mushroom cloud. Love
Yeah.
this deck.
It definitely had like a really cool look to it, you know, that
And I'm
I was very
pretty sure
into.
it's Thoth-based, but the box actually says that the deck creator used both RWS and Thoth influence and imagery to create the deck. So again, like we were just talking about,
Yeah.
the two systems actually kind of go hand in hand.
Cool. I chose the medieval Europe tarot. I wasn't quite sure how to fit this in. It's got 86 cards. It's in this beautiful box. This is one of my favorite decks, and I almost never use it, but I just love it, and I want to use it more, but I just never read with it. But I love it. Like I could never like part with it because it's just so beautiful. First off, it comes in that really big box. I think I probably read with it a handful of times, like since I got it. But I feel like it's something I need to really devote time to. It comes with this hardbound book, um, which is really really cool, and that fits in the tuck box. That's like a heavy duty tuck box. Do you have this deck or no, Alex? You don't have this
Nuh-uh.
one. Okay.
No, not yet. I was
So,
actually looking at it though.
well, Neem sent me a playing card deck the other day, and she said, you know, because I'm doing these restorations, she said you should try and restore this deck. You know, it can look like fun, and it's a really cool deck. It reminded me so much of this. So the artwork on here, I'm pretty sure, is based on that specific playing card deck, which is from like the Middle Ages. But first off, these are the backs. It's a really really nice thick cardstock. And the art style is just really, really nice. And it's almost like a Minchiati. So it's a full tarot deck. It has a couple of extras in there, but it has zodiac cards. So it's not like of the full Minchiati, like the 97 or whatever it is, but it has the astrological cards, which is pretty cool. You know, so like for instance, has the zodiac card.
I like that.
Yeah. Um, check out the star card. Yeah, I have to use this deck more.
Speaking of Minchiati, man, that Heather Hall deck that I got in, I've been playing with that a lot. The size of it,
Yeah.
it just, it's like perfect for me to play with all day. I love it. It's like one of my, you know how people that do office work have stress balls sometimes?
Yeah.
That Heather Hall deck is my stress ball.
Yeah, I love her artwork. It's beautiful. I have to learn more about Minchiati because that's part of the reason I don't use this. Like, it's like, what do you do with the astrological cards? You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
do you factor them? I guess you can, but I just have to learn more about Minchiati, and I think that's on my list of things to study. One of these days, I have to get like a nice book. I do know that Robert in Place does talk quite a bit about Minchiati in his book. I know he's a big Minchiati collector himself, Robert in Place, but that's something I want to learn. You know. So let's see. We have let's see. Yeah, you did your oddball. I had to think for a second. So international now. So what is your favorite international deck? I'm gonna let you go first because I'm not even sure yet.
To be honest, man, I didn't really know how to classify something as quote unquote international. So I have sort of two different options here.
Okay. Like
Um,
me.
the first one that I chose as an international deck is the Marseille by Pablo, because he's from Argentina and this is
Yeah.
his deck, but it's based on French Marseille decks that are like
True.
historic French Marseille decks. So it kind of has roots in both France and Argentina. So I figured that might fit for an international deck.
Yeah, I think it does. I think that
This one, it's wrapped. I don't really like to undo the wrapping on it because it's all pearly and nice, and I don't want to mess up the paper.
I know. I'm waiting for my new copy of that. I feel like I've ordered it in December. I'm still waiting.
Oh, because
Shipping's been slow.
he did do the newer edition of that one.
Yeah, I think it's either the 5th or the 6th edition. It's just got, I think, thicker cards and a different box, and it has a book with it that's going to all be in Spanish.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I wanted it. I just did. I just wanted
And
it.
then the other one that I have is actually the Marseille Weight. And I chose this one because it was only available on Amazon France. You had to get it from France somehow.
True.
And the book is all in French. All of the cards are in French. And I actually really like this deck. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. It's a really pretty deck.
I actually like it way more than I thought that I was going to. The imagery here, I would actually consider it to be like RWS clone style imagery in all of the minors, because it's really close, right? It's just done in her style, in the artist style or whatever.
Yeah.
I really like this deck way more than I thought that I was going to, so I'm happy that I got the chance to trade it to Sandra for the Saucer Beto deck, because I wasn't reaching for that one, and I've already been playing with this one 10 times more than I touched that one. So
Crowley-Hannity just makes me roll my eyes so hard. Yeah, that's so. Melissa says, well, it's kind of a private question, but a private conversation she's having with Mendy. But she referred to Crowley as Crowley-Hannity, and that's very true. It's like some Thoth people are very have like a very gatekeeper mentality, and
yeah,
I agree with that 100%. Now, my choice for international deck is so. I was trying to think, like I had trouble just like you. This is a deck that I actually considered selling earlier in the week. I had been going through some decks to thin out my collection because I'm running out of space. I'm also have other projects going on where I need to free up some both space and money. Like I'm trying to buy myself a new iPad and so forth. And I had this deck. I was going to sell it. And then I started looking through the cards, and I just couldn't part with it. So it's called the Cult of Wisdom. It's by Taroko Studio.
okay.
I almost listed it on eBay, but when I looked through this deck, I just couldn't do it. So yeah, because it's a deck I never use again, but it's just like a deck that I really, really like. It's one that I don't read with. But I need
I've got
to.
a couple like that.
Yeah, I
Where
need to start.
like I probably picked another 9 decks recently to add back to my purgatory shelf, and there's still a couple up there on the wall that I know I'm never going to reach for, but I can't really seem to get rid of them though.
Yeah, because you're going to eventually get to a place where you're going to read with it. Like I mean, I do like. I think in terms of a mythological deck or, like learning like deities from another time and place. These are basically these are Slavic deities. Like this is Lel here. Lel is like I believe the god of like springtime. Sort of like Persephone figure. And sometimes his name is Lubitsch. They call him Lubitsch. I really, really like this. And his mother is Lada, who is like the Empress figure in this deck. And Lada she's like Demeter, basically. It's very similar to Demeter and Persephone. And the art style on this is just really, I can't quite put my finger on it because it's digital, but they're sort of painting like. It's not quite photography. It's not quite like, I don't know what kind of art this is. I still can't figure it out, but the images are beautiful.
I'd almost be willing to call it a collage deck, where it almost looks like they took a picture and then digital rendering.
I don't know because it looks like a painting. Maybe Mendy would know. Because I know what it's the same as that. What's the art deck they have? Is the Art Revival deck or something? Because when you really look at it, you're like, oh, it looks like a painting, but yeah, it's just something I can't really put my finger on.
I like it though.
Yeah, I do too. I really, really like it. It's very pretty, and also makes me think of Masha, because Masha is very into Slavic mythology, because these are her people. Right. And I have the golden wheel that I got based on Masha's recommendation, because I'm very connected to Russian history and so forth. I love the history of Russia, but I didn't know anything about the mythology, so I was like, I want to get like a Russian mythology, something different than Greek and Celtic. You know what I mean? Something just that I'm not familiar with. And I was searching around, and one day I was on that's Taroko Studio. And I believe they're based in Ukraine. And that's when I found, that deck. They have a whole bunch of others that I was interested in, but they're pretty expensive. And the card quality on that is unbelievable. It's really, really good. The quality of their decks are really good.
I've heard that about Taroko Studios a lot, though, that their card quality is really, really good.
Yeah. So let's see. So now we're on favorite animal deck. This is an easy one. Okay, for me, it's the Brady Tarot. I love this deck.
I've been looking at this deck and looking at this deck. You're going to make me buy this deck today. Watch.
No, I use this when I'm up the mountains a lot. Like, this is a deck I bring when I'm in the wilderness. The reason I like this deck more than any other animal deck, I'll tell you why. For one, Rachel Pollack does the book, which is well done. The book itself, reading Rachel's interpretations of all the cards, is worth it. Rachel's one of my heroes. So that's that. The box is really nice. It's signed by Emmy Brady. This is the second version. The first edition, this is the second edition. First edition came in a wooden box, which is one that I really like, and I kind of wished that I could find a copy of it. But I'm happy with this too. So all the animals in this deck are all North American animals. And that's a really cool thing. It's like, they're all unique to the land that I grew up in. I grew up going up the mountains and spending a lot of time in nature, as a kid. And I just really, really love this deck. It's part of the land that I'm attached to,
Right.
Can't really explain it any other way, but it's very nature-based. The colors are really beautiful. It's just a really well done deck. And I have a lino cut print of hers too, of the barn owl. I don't know what happened to my tack pin. I had my tack pin of this card, the Hermit. So I had a tack pin with the Hermit. I love it. First off, I love that.
I don't know why, but I've been going back and forth about that deck for so long. I think I'm just gonna have to eventually just bite the bullet and buy that deck because it's gorgeous.
It's a good one. It is a really pretty deck, and like I said, it's a very American deck.
I like that card.
These are the backs. Yeah, it's a really cool deck. So that's my favorite animal deck.
And then,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and then I think, what is it currently available? I think on Etsy is like the 4th edition of the Brady Tarot or something like that.
Oh, it is? I didn't know it was up that high.
I'm not sure. I haven't checked in a while. I mean, I know I was looking into it not that long ago,
Yeah.
but I remember, I think it's higher than second edition by now.
Okay.
I could
Yeah.
be wrong though.
Yeah, I would get a copy of that if I were you. It's a good one, you know.
I think I'm gonna have to bite the bullet on that.
I don't want to be the devil on your shoulder, but I really like that deck.
Well, okay, because I only have 3 animal decks, right? One is the Wild Unknown, one is the Lion Strider, which isn't really like a full-blown animal deck, and then the third one is this guy. And this is my favorite of the 3. This is the Wooden Tarot. I really like this card. The Fool is one of the ones that made me get it.
Yeah, I like that. That is interesting. I've seen this deck around. I just never had a peek
like
in
this
there.
High Priestess card.
Yeah.
So dope.
The thing I
they like line up Empress and Emperor so that they're both elephants.
Yeah, you got the pomegranate, some RWS stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, look at that.
Right.
The stag.
And then there's 2 hummingbirds sitting right up here. This is one of my favorite Chariot cards ever.
Yeah.
Just a really dope deck. And it's probably the only one of them that I have that is genuinely like an animal deck through and through. Like pretty much the only cards that aren't animals are the aces, which they have them listed as gods. So like this is the god of bones.
Yeah.
And then the bone suit is the only one that doesn't like have animals on every card, essentially.
The thing I like about the Brady Tarot is, a lot of times you get animal decks and it's kind of like mythological representations of the animal, like the sly fox, the wise old owl and things. But that deck, and I don't know, from what I've seen somewhat of this deck too, but the Brady Tarot especially is all about what like the actual animal behaviors. It's a very well thought out deck, and when you read the book, it starts to really line up. Like predator birds and bears and things like it lines up that way. It's realistic depictions of the animal as opposed to mythological. Which I like too. I'm not knocking it. It's just different. It made it unique. Like the Tara Renard I ordered. I backed that on Kickstarter. I was by Celia Melville. I really love that, and I ordered her Lily White as well.
That's another one of them cards that made me get the deck. It was the Happy Squirrel. It's a Simpsons reference. I don't know how many people know that, but it's a Simpsons reference. In one of the episodes, Lisa goes into a tent at a carnival to get her cards read, and the tarot lady flips over the death card. Lisa freaks out. The tarot lady's like, "No, it's a good card. Transition, change. It's okay." And then the very next card, she flips over the Happy Squirrel, and Lisa's like, "Oh, the Happy Squirrel." And the tarot reader's like, "Yo, you're in danger. You need to go now."
That's pretty funny.
It's
the truth too. Yeah. Let's see, where are we at here? Okay, so we have mythological deck. So do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
Sure, I'll go for the mythological deck, because a lot of my what most people would consider to be mythology decks are all like esoteric based, and we already have a sort of a category for that. I ended up taking the concept of mythological deck more in the literary way, wherein like mythology of a storyline, right? My favorite storyline is the Alice Tarot. I recently got this one in the Baba Studios Alice Tarot deck. So for mythological wise, like on a storyline wise, this will probably be my favorite right now.
I think that fits in the mythology in a way. I mean, it's become mythological for sure.
Right. And there are very few stories out there that are mythological like that, right? Like Alice is one of them. Oz is another one.
Yeah, we could change it to, favorite story oriented deck as well. You know what I mean?
Right. For other people out there, for
Yeah.
the VR, they want to do one. But before this one came in, my favorite Oz deck of the one, or not Oz, but Alice deck of the ones that I have was the Barbara Moore, the Tarot in Wonderland. I really like the artwork in that deck, the way that it shuffles, the way that the book's laid out. I really like that deck. But artwork wise, I like the Bobble one a little bit more. I'm starting to understand the hype behind the Baba decks,
Oh,
even
they're so
though,
nice.
right, even though I still don't think that they're worth 300. I don't think any deck is.
I'm
But
just blank. Justin is just blank. What's that mean? Kristen Louise said I'm blank. Can you
I'm
see
not
me?
sure.
Oh, I'm assuming. Let me know if you can see me. I'm assuming they can.
I think so. Nobody said
Oh,
anything about it yet. Mendy says her favorite Alice deck is the Dame Darcy. I have the Dame Darcy, actually. I keep it in a bag that I got that matches the colors with it real well.
oh,
I
okay.
like that one too.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw Justin is just blank, so I don't know what she was talking about, but
Oh, it
um
was just the look on your face about the Happy Squirrel card. Like when I started talking about the Happy Squirrel, they said
oh
your face went
oh
blank.
well, I was trying to remember back to the Simpsons, but I don't remember that episode because I've seen so many Simpsons episodes. I just it was
You have to YouTube the clip
yeah.
because they have just the clip on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, I was a huge Simpsons fan. Yeah, I took that literally. Sorry. I am blank, by the way. Um, so let's see. My mythological deck is the Shining Tribe Tarot by Rachel Pollack. This is a really, really great deck, and it's one that people overlook often because they don't connect with the artwork. It's not this extravagant. It is to me. I love it, and I'm not knocking Rachel's art style, but she even mentions it in her book. She's not a trained artist. She's certainly an artist, but she's not a trained like a
Right.
Robert M. Place type. You know what I mean? But this is still one of my favorite decks especially because of the book and because of who wrote it. But I really, really love it. It's a Llewellyn deck, and this is back when this Llewellyn cardstock isn't too bad. It's not like the greatest, but it's not bad. It's okay for Llewellyn, and the book is phenomenal. The reason I say it's mythological is because like Persephone is the hero of the deck for the most part.
Okay.
It talks a lot about Persephone and Demeter. And this is what the art looks like. So trees is like the earthly element in the deck. And you got two of rivers is the water. It's just really, it's a very deep deck and it's personal to her. And she writes, the book is, it's like very, very
Yeah.
comprehensive book.
You know how one of Rachel's books are. I've got a
Yeah.
few of them, man, and they're all pretty decently thick, and I like reading all of her work.
Nine of Stones. This is one of her best books, I think. It's a really great book to read. So, yeah. So that's my mythological one.
I like it.
Yeah. Here we go. The High Priestess.
Rachel's done a few more decks than I think I realized. Because I was trying to find all the different decks that she's been a part of, be it the book or the cards or just a part of the project. And
Yeah.
she's been around for a while, man. She's getting up there to like Eden Gray status.
Oh, for me, she's way beyond Eden Gray. Rachel Pollack to me is like, I think
She's definitely gone deeper than Eden Gray ever went.
I mean, look, I don't live in Eden Gray's time, and I know Eden Gray was influential for her time and so forth. And, they're all different in their own way. But for me, Rachel sort of made tarot, like, at least she was part of a generation of people that made tarot relatable for less woo, more kind of deep, kind of connecting to the unconscious kind of realm.
Yeah.
Like her book. When I read her book, I was like, well, it's not just like people that are into like psychic stuff, and it's like a real serious thing. I was so impressed by 78 Degrees of Wisdom. That's why I got so infatuated with tarot, because I read her book. I was like, wow, she's just brilliant. And she writes a lot about all the Joseph Campbell stuff and story and mythology, and it was just impressive to me. So
78 Degrees was actually my first real big tarot book that wasn't a full copy of the pictorial key.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've been
I'm
a fan
listening
of her
to it
book
right.
too.
I'm actually listening to it right now. I've been going to bed with it. On it's she released it on Audible, so you can
I
yeah.
try really hard not to break the spines and bindings on my books, but this one, man, I put so much work and use into it that
Yeah.
it's all chunked out on me now, and I love this
Alex,
book.
you know what I do? I cover my books in clear plastic, all of them, the ones that I use, especially like in like a protective clear, the soft cover ones. I do, because then
Yeah,
you
I
can
know what you're talking
repair them
about,
if you have to.
like a clear contact paper,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
what you would use to reback a deck, only clear.
Yeah, exactly. I do that with almost all of my books, unless it's a hardbound book.
It's a good
But
idea. I got a lot of soft covered books that I don't want to really mess up.
yeah, I'm hard on books, so that's why I do it. So let's see. You did your mythological, divine, masculine or feminine. I wasn't really sure about the masculine part, but the divine masculine part, I have an oracle, which I'll show you at the end, when we get there. But the one for divine feminine was the dark goddess. I thought I really enjoy this, and it's also a mythological deck too. A lot of the decks are.
It's a good
Um,
pick.
yeah, I like it. So this is a deck that I was destined to have it, because the first two copies that I got were destroyed, physically. Like they were smashed up. One of them, the card back was like torn, and the gilding was all dented up, because Schiffer did a terrible job packaging in them. But finally they sent me one. The company actually sent me one, and I'm very happy with it. But it's fun to read about the deities. It's all female deities from all over the world, basically from all world cultures. There's a Demeter and Persephone in here. Pythia.
I like that one. The one like female deity deck that I really was looking at recently is, what is it called? The Tarot of the Divine, I think.
Yeah, Tarot of the Divine.
It comes in like the box set and has like the Japanese style picture on the
Yes.
front, I think it is, with the bridge.
Yeah,
And
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
I think I'm gonna end up getting that deck, and um I would really like to see a quality Santa Muerte deck made, if we're
Yeah.
speaking in terms of divine feminine, because I think death is also divine, and death, I think, is a very feminine energy.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I would like to see also a really nice Santa Muerte deck too.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get the current Santa Muerte by Los Garabeo.
I have that one, and it's more Day of the Dead than
Okay.
Santa Muerte.
I've seen some cards. I think Chris Kelly got that one, and he was showing me some cards, and I did like it, but I just never really liked it enough to get it. I don't know. It
Oh,
was
the
weird.
artwork's dope on that one. I have that one right here, right?
Yeah.
And I keep the Oracle with it in the same bag.
Oh, cool. That's a nice
Um,
bag too.
and it's actually, that is one of the Oracle cards, and it's the cover from the box for the Oracle deck.
Yeah.
So you know how I think it's either Llewellyn or Los Scarabeo, they do the bags sometimes like that to go with the decks. I just got lucky and found one for something with it. But it's really more Day of the Dead than Santa Muerte.
Okay. So what was your divine feminine or masculine deck? Just curious.
For
Did you pick one?
me, yeah, actually, I have one that kind of takes both of them and a little bit more. So I've been trying to find an inclusive deck that I like, and this one ended up taking the cake for me. It's not the full size. I don't like super big cards like that,
Yeah.
but I ended up landing on the Next World Tarot, because I did want to have at least one deck in my collection that was inclusive of everybody, right?
Cool.
So this is the one. And this one is super dope. It doesn't really matter what card I land on. I'm totally fine with the artwork in it. I love the comic book style artwork of it. And some of the cards, like I think it's the Hierophant becomes the teacher. So a lot of the majors are sort of renamed or retitled.
Yeah.
But this is just
It's interesting.
an all-around dope deck.
Who's the author? Who's the creator?
This is by Christy C. Rode.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a cool looking deck. For divine masculine, I could never find like a good one.
And this is the pocket version. So these cards are basically like bridge size. And then they have the normal version, but they're big cards. So that's why I ended up going with the pocket version, because they're more bridge size cards. But like, here's the world card.
Interesting.
So trying to find some other cool ones. Interesting artwork, like in the Ten of Swords.
Yeah.
And then like your Page of Pentacles. You know, an artist smack dab in the middle of their art studio,
Yeah.
apron on, ready to go. The Lovers. This is a dope card, right? Like learning to love yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's just a really dope deck. And then like the Devil, you see they touch on like revolutionary stuff, and they touch on societal ills and things going on in the world. Like the Justice card, I think, is the Revolution card in this deck. No, the Tower is the Revolution card. So instead of the Tower, you have full-blown Revolution. And it embodies, I think, divine masculine and divine feminine, both in a way that allows the deck to be fully balanced. So like you don't really feel this deck being out of balance in terms of gender or anything else for that matter. It's just really well done overall.
Yeah. Cool. So Continental Esoteric. For me, if I can get to the darn deck, I'm definitely going to go with, and we skipped one, by the way. We skipped non-Marseille Pip.
I was gonna circle back around to it if you did.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I was going to do it at the end, but non-Marseille Pip is one that we'll do that after this one. So we'll do non-Marseille Pip after this one.
All right, that'll work.
This is the Continental. For me, the Esoteric. It's the Utes Picard. I just did a walkthrough of this whole deck. I just really like it. I love the artwork. This was almost my oddball deck, but I fitted in on here. It was kind of like I had to maneuver a little bit. But it is the Esoteric. I'm just going to show you briefly. So this is the deck in which El Gran Tarot Esoterico comes from. It's the first minor system, because Oswald Wirth was very much about the majors, and this came out I think in 1909, which is the same year as Rider-Waite-Smith, but it was very, very sort of Pip centric.
Right.
There's a lot of geometric shapes and stuff in here. It's just a really cool deck. The only issue is that people have is that swords are the element of water, And Utes says that's because of tears, like tears, swords cause tears. And so that's why it was that, but I can totally relate to that actually,
I
but
mean,
it's
it's not too
interesting.
far of a stretch for me, I
No,
don't think.
no, but for me, I just say, hey, swords or cups, it's very easy for me to adjust. Just mentally, like, it's water in this deck, swords or water. That's not hard for me to do. But for some reason, I've heard multiple people say, oh, I just can never do it. I could never do it. I don't know. For me, it's very easy. But I love this deck, and I've been using it a lot lately. I've been looking at it a lot. Close second would be the Oswald Worth, which I think is equally as important. It's a majors only, but as far as esoteric decks, it's just like the Rider-Waite Smith of esoteric decks. It's like, it's a classic deck. It's
Yeah.
in a class of its own, really. But
I actually really like that one. And my choice was from the same deck creators who you got your Utes Picard from. And mine is the Tarot of the Holy Light.
yeah, I love that, and that's Noria Brown too. Yeah.
Yep. And this one I bought from a friend and then ended up finding their website through you because you did your walkthrough for the Utes Picard. And I really like this deck.
Oh yeah.
The imagery in the deck is rich.
Yeah, it's beautiful art.
Even though it is sort of like a Pippish style, like Continental style deck,
Yeah.
nothing is really a Pip, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It's totally fully illustrated for sure.
Oh yeah, it's totally fully illustrated,
It's
including
Pip-ish, like you said, but
including like how you have the moon and the sun. So when it's in the upright position, you've got the sun.
Yeah.
And then when you flop it over and it's in the reverse, you've got the moon. So it's like a continuation of the actual card's meaning. So some of them aren't the exact opposite. Some of them are just revolving.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I had trouble with this deck was the astrological correspondence, just because I'm so like used to the Golden Dawn,
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm still having a little bit of trouble with the astrological correspondences myself, which is why, because I love the deck so much, and this actually just came in the mail today.
Nice.
Like 20 minutes before I sat down and we jumped in the backstage there.
Cool.
And this is actually a deck and a book. The book, because I already have the first one, right? The first book. I already got that. So I ended up having to get the second book, which is the Foundations of the Esoteric Tradition.
Yeah.
So this is basically volume 2 of the book for the Tarot of the Holy Light.
Yeah.
So
that's been on my list.
So I got the book finally for that. And I figured while I was there, while I was doing that, again, same creator as the deck you just showed, is who did the Holy Light. So while I was there, another Justin made me do it moment.
Yeah, you won't regret that. Actually, I had several people tell me because of that video they got the Utes Picard. I really like it. I enjoy it, and it's an important historic deck. So I think it's just as important as like the Oswald Worth. I mean, in my opinion.
I'm not gonna bust the plastic on the cards open. I'm gonna do that tomorrow or on Thursday when I do my live. But the backs on this, man, are nice.
Yeah, they are. And the majors are very Marseille. They're very Tarot de Marseille. If you look at them, they're like, they're more Marseille than even like, Nap Hall and all those other esoteric. It's like, you could tell it's very based on the French Marseille tarot.
Right. Now, since we're talking about like systems or decks that look similar to others, You had mentioned earlier about like the RWS or whatever, possibly being based off or around the system here, with the first set of like miners being from the esoteric or the continental systems.
Yeah.
And it made me think, I had noticed recently, since we're talking about continental decks, right? And esoteric decks, one of the decks that I have for one of the upcoming categories, the Grand Atea, I was looking at the RWS and the Grand Atea deck, and dude, these things come so close together that it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, let's see. Tell me that's not the moon card.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, Atea was very influential, you know.
Right. So, and that's what I thought about it earlier too while we were talking, because we were talking about how kind of like the RWS and the Thoth actually play into each other really well. Well, I think that that's because they all kind of come from the same sort of tarot tradition. Because like here you have temperance, right? A lot of the cards they almost look like, with strength even, like they could have derived directly from the Atea deck. So
Yeah.
after going through it, I think even RWS was based on both the Atea
Oh yeah.
and the I have one too. I just don't like it. What's it called?
Solabuska.
Yeah, there you go. The Solar
Solabuska.
Booster.
Now,
So
when I interviewed Robert M. Place, he said that very much. He said that, you know, they all took from Atea, but they sort of made fun of him. They called him the barber because he was never a barber or the wig maker or something. He lived
right,
upstairs from a wig maker, you know, apparently, but they did not like him. They were, I guess they were very class conscious or whatever, but they just knocked him for some reason. But they all barred from his system. And Paul Hewson wrote a good book on that too. Well, you have the Mythical Origins of the Tarot, which was a really good book, but his Dame Fortune's Wheel Tarot talks all about Atea and his influence, and it's very epic. So,
I want to get that Dame deck, the Fortune's Wheel.
oh, it's one of my favorites. I love that. I'm surprised I didn't squeeze it in here, but
I'm surprised I haven't got it yet with the penchant that I have for esoteric decks.
yeah, and you know, it's not, so it is an esoteric deck, no doubt, but it's really, it doesn't have to be interpreted that way. Like, it doesn't have correspondences on it or anything. Um it's very old style tarot, you know. And it doesn't, none of his cards look like Atea's cards, but for some reason, I guess he went with his card meanings, he went back to Atea. But
Yeah,
the thing I like about Paul's book is that, you know, it's really hard to find information on Atea in English, you know. So Paul Houston's book was phenomenal in that regard. And then Robert M. Place gave me a couple sources to like look into, which I haven't done yet, but I plan to, you know, for books on Atea. Like, in other words, it's already translated, and you don't have to read the words directly from Atea. You can read a book on it. You know what I mean?
right.
Non-Marseille Pip is,
Non-Marseille Pip.
for me, is the Pythagorean Tarot.
Okay.
I love this deck. I love primarily the book is phenomenal. This book is just awesome, and it's talk about. I mean, if you want to read this book, you have to devote some time to it.
Yeah. That's one
And
of those Jungian decks, isn't it?
he talks about Jung in here, but it's not really. It's mythological. It's all about Greek myths, and you know, Pythagoras, who, you know, Pythagoras was very much into numerology. He was so I'll tell you, I was reading Rachel's book, Tarot Wisdom. She mentioned the Pythagorean Tarot in that book. And so this was like a rabbit hole deck, you know. This is a hard deck to come by. I paid, I think, like just around $100 for this. But so that's the artwork. It's very light lines, and kind of, my light is just not being very helpful tonight, but
Almost like colored pencil pictures.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And the colors are really pretty in it. But the thing I like about it is it's a concept deck. It's it has a very similar to the what's the name deck, the Eudes Picard deck. Like in that, it has very kind of geometric patterns.
Uh-huh.
But this is based on Pythagorean numerology, not Kabbalah. And when I was trying to learn numerology, went through this whole numerology kick, and I was really trying to find like a good numerology book for tarot that wasn't Kabbalah based, because I tend to like the Pythagorean numerology a little better. It just worked for me. It was more familiar to me. I wasn't really drawn to Kabbalah, and so I read his book, and then in his book he mentions a book called The Mystery of Numbers by a woman named Amory Schimmel, another great numerology book. Amory Schimmel is someone who is very into like Islam. Her area of expertise is Sufism, and I read a book in college. I had a college class called Islam in Asia, and one of the books was by her, so I knew her name. So I was like, "Oh, I read a book by her before," and then I got that book, and that's one of the best books on numerology. It didn't really help me that much for tarot reading, but it helped me understand numbers better.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like you know what I'm saying?
Numerology is a pretty deep rabbit hole in and of itself. Like
very deep. Yeah, it's a classic deck. It's very OOP. You'll have to hunt it down if you want a copy of it. But like I said, the pips are very geometric, kind of patterns, and it's all Greek. Talks a lot about Greek mythology too, his book. So we are getting close. So that's the non-Marseille pip. Let's see.
And then
classic Mars. Oh yeah, you got to do yours. Sorry.
Yeah, my non-Marseille pip is the Pagan Otherworld. As you can tell, I open mine from the bottom so I don't ever break the seal.
Yeah. Is that a pip deck? I didn't think it was a pip deck.
Yeah, it is a non-Marseille illustrated pip. Like sort of an illustrated. Here, watch, you'll see.
Okay, yeah. It's like pip-ish.
They got the extra card there, the Seeker, which I love that card. And then, so see, you have the pips, but then there's like a little bit of a scene.
I just did that I want to answer her question when you're done.
So see, like you get like the pips. There's the devil. Like the Nine of Wands. So it's laid out almost the way it would be in an RWS deck, but there's no person. So there's nobody there to hold the wand. Yeah, it's like a cross between. It's kind of like the Dame Fortune's wheels like that, and also the Old English tarot is like that. It has illustrations. Technically a fully illustrated deck, but it's very pippish. Right. It's extremely pippish, like especially through the coins. I guarantee there are people who would disagree with you about the classification, but there always are in tarot. Always. Like someone's, but I totally understand where you're coming from, why you're calling it a pip deck, because the Old English tarot is just like that, and I always thought it's like a cross between a pip deck and a fully illustrated. It's not quite a fully illustrated. It's not quite a pip deck. So it's shady, like that happy middle ground. Yeah, it's an interesting play. Yeah, it's definitely. There's a few decks like that. Dame Fortune's Wheels one. Dame Fortune's is more fully illustrated, but the Old English tarot is very much like that. Yeah. I can go into the whole. I don't have that deck, but I don't feel at this moment in time. It could change. I just don't feel connected to the Pagan Otherworlds for some reason. So Shady Shadow wants to know what is an esoteric deck. They all are, I guess, in a sense, esoteric. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But when we say esoteric deck, we mean a deck with a system.
that has correspondences and graphs attached to it. So, which is mostly early tarot decks, most notably the Oswald Wirth, because they corresponded to Hebrew letters and they also corresponded to like Kabbalistic ideas. So today you have this great renaissance of tarot, that you have these decks that are more based on like the unconscious, and like there's all sorts of purposes for tarot now, but they're not based in the systems. Yes, like Nap Hole is very esoteric.
Like you see how you have your like correspondences with the Hebrew alphabet, which then directly corresponds to the Kabbalistic tree of life. And then like there are cards throughout these decks that have that Kabbalistic tree of life directly on them. And then the way that they are laid out, you can kind of tell the system by the way that the cards have been laid out, but they're all based very heavily on Kabbalistic, esoteric teaching.
Yeah.
Like here's another one.
Yeah, that reminds me. So which one is this now? That's
This one is the Golden Dawn.
Oh, the Golden Dawn I recognize the art. It's that's what's his name? The guy who did the Jungian Tarot, Robert Wong. No, I almost thought it was the Jungian Tarot because of the art style. The pips, very, very yeah, I mean that's definitely an esoteric deck. But it's a subjective term, shady shadows. Okay, so when I say it, Alex knows what I'm talking about, but I guess they're like anything else, we could split hairs on that one.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's subjective. I kind of look at it as esoteric decks are the ones that are more heavily tied into your esoteric or magical based teachings than even like a Thoth deck. So anything that goes anywhere too far beyond that, you're getting into the esoteric realm.
Yes. So where are we at now? Classic mass market deck.
Ooh.
I have a lot of them. Go ahead. You go first. I have a lot of them, but I'm going to show. I picked one.
So I only have a couple of like classical mass market decks, right? So one of them I was just showing you earlier was the Grandatea from Grimod. This is back from when they were still actually like circulating decks in the U.S. back in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So this was still technically a mass market for the U.S. back then. And I'm a fan of anything esoteric. So of course I had to come get one of these. Just a few more of the pips and whatnot for this one.
Did you get the low Scarabeo one? I should wait till you're done to ask you, but the low Scarabeo version that came out.
No, I did not.
What in tarnation? What happened, Alex? What'd you hit? We lost Alex. Hopefully he'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys until Alex comes back. We're going to show you my classic mass market. It was really a hard one for me to pick because there are so many of them, but I'm going to go with Stuart Kaplan's Tarot Classic. It's just a really great classic deck. I love all the early Stuart Kaplan decks from the 70s, and this is one that's a very Swiss kind of style. Marseille, and I just really love the colors in it. So I'm going to show you some of the pips. And yeah, it's very similar to like the Gassman. And he'll probably be back in a second. Let's see. So here's some of the core cards. Most of you are going to know this, but I really, really enjoy this. Has the plaid backs. So let's see what's going in the comments. So Robin said he had the Grandatea but sold it on eBay. He couldn't figure out how to work it. work with it. Yeah, it's a different system, Robin. It's like, and that's why I was sort of searching for a book like that explained it, and I didn't really find one until I bought um, the um, the Lo Scarabeo version, which is basically it's just a little white booklet is packed with information about meanings and structure, and it's the perfect it's perfect. I absolutely love it because I could have oh, his phone died. Oh, poor Alex. All right, well, if you're going to come back, come back. If not, we can finish the tag some other time. We only have, let's see, what I have 2 more on there, so it's not really that big of a deal. I can just finish if you don't want to hop back on. But yeah, so the Taya thing is not going to be for everybody, and aesthetically, it's not something that everybody loves. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people that just aren't crazy about it. So, Alex, are you planning to come back in? Okay, you turn back on. Yeah, be nice. No problem. I'm going to finish mine. So, classic. So I did the classic comic book graphic novel. I only really have one, and it's based on a graphic novel. It's called Tales of Aneth, and this is very a very Celtic, interesting deck. Um, I believe it's made in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in the UK. But it's very, very Celtic. It actually has Ogham correspondences, and the suits are very, very interesting. There's actually 5 suits, but the art style is really just kind of interesting. So, like as I said, you have the Ogham letters here, which is just very interesting. So this is actually the Ten of Cups. So Shiana is the element of water, and so it's like this mass gathering, but a guy has his arm around a person, and it's like they're having a good time. They're in a public gathering. I forget the Ogham correspondence to that, but if you know the Ogham, you might know that. It's hard for me to recognize them. Very, very interesting. Oh, I love this one. Okay, so this is Strength. It's 8, and it's all in Gaelic. Like I said, I don't know if you can see that, but I just love that image. Really, really beautiful deck. Don't worry about it, Alex. That's fine. I'll finish it. I actually have I have one more deck. Maybe you can just type what your other 2 responses, what your other 2 decks were, Alex. So just put in the chat, and then I'll let everybody know. What is your classic mass market? What is your comic book graphic novel deck? So the only one. This is the one I was just showing Kristen Louise. It's called Tales of Aneth, Aneith, and it is available on Etsy, I believe, and it has 5 suits. So it's like it has the Ether suit, which is a bit interesting, but I believe like air. So let's see. So Earth is physical things. Air is like mental. Fire is like action and to do. And then Ether is spiritual. And it actually, like, it does work. You know what I mean? It actually gives you another element, and it can be a little more specific. I never read with that system. This is a deck, like I said, this is the only comic book deck, graphic novel deck that I had. But it is one that I really like, and I like it because the Ogham correspondences, but I don't really read with it often. If I do, I use it like an oracle. I just draw a card. You know what I mean? And then I'll look at the Ogham correspondence, and then I'll look at the card meaning and kind of do it like that. But I couldn't use it for like a spread because it's so like different than the way I read. So Good night, Melissa. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up anyway. I had one other prompt on here was the Oracle deck, and mine was it's the Divine Masculine deck, and I actually don't even have that close by. It's the one Oracle deck I use the most, and then I also I have a numerology Oracle I use, and there's a few others. But the Divine Masculine one is my favorite. So yeah, the 5th tarot has 5 elements too. Yeah, I saw that, Lucy. I actually saw that book and almost got it once. Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, the 5th tarot. Yep. But yeah. Anyway, it is getting late. We've been on a while, and I lost Alex, so I am going to wrap up. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by. Please participate. In the tag if you like. I will put down in the description box when this posts all the prompts for it. You know what I mean? But I would definitely like to see everybody's responses. So I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, Alex, for coming on. I'm sorry your phone died. We were just yapping away. That's why your phone just went berserk. But I had a really nice time. It was really good seeing you, my friend, and let's do it again soon. And also everybody again, thank you. And I hope everybody enjoys their night. Oh, before I go, so wait, Alex, did you say, I'm trying to find, did you name your other 2 decks just so I can? Okay, for comic book graphic novel, he picked the Pulp Tarot, which is no surprise because I know that is one of his favorites. Yeah, exactly. Interesting. But yeah, but what was the other one? What was your Oracle though, Alex? Before I go, I'm just curious what your Oracle was. Oh, okay. The Oracle Death is the Mystic Brujeria Oracle. And the Classic Mass Market is the University Books deck, which you got. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I love the University Books deck, but I just wish that it would be done better on better cardstock because it's like paper thin, but everybody is probably tired of hearing that by now because that's what everybody says. So, but thank you very much again, everybody. Thank you, Alex. And until next time, love and peace, everybody. Good night.